Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, it's on. Shabbat Shalom. What a nice crowd for the last Shabbat of the year. And I mean nice in many ways here. I have a story I would like to tell you, and then I'm not getting to do a sermon or anything tonight. I guess I'm saving that up for the High Holy Days, I don't know. But it was a story that I heard when I was in high school. And so I wanted to share it with you. The story is, and some of you may have heard it before because I love this story, but the story is that there's a man who's traveling through the desert, and it's just him on his camel and the sand. Have you ever been in a desert like that? With just the sand? I personally love the desert and the sand and the starkness of it. I don't think I would be on a camel alone by myself in the desert, but I like the story anyway. So he's traveling through the desert, and it gets dark. And just as it turns, just past dusk, he hears this voice. There's nothing around him, but he hears a voice. And the voice says, "Get down off your camel." And he doesn't believe that he's hearing the voice. He keeps going, and the voice says more insistently, "Get down off your camel." He looks around and he decides, I don't see anybody. Okay. And he gets down. And the voice says, "Reach down into the sand and with both hands grasp as much of the sand as you can. Get back on your camel and finish your ride to your destination holding on to the sand the whole time. And when you get to the other side, when you get to your destination, you will be the happiest person in the world and the saddest person in the world." Well, nobody's watching. Wherever this voice is coming from, he's on the ground. He scoops up as much sand as he can. As you can imagine, even while he's scooping, it's already pouring out. And then he tries to get on his camel without losing any sand, which is impossible. And then he gets on his camel, and as he's traveling, some sand is pouring out a little bit at a time. And he's holding it now. And he's exhausted, and he has to travel all night because he's afraid to lose what he has in his hand, because he's looking forward to being the happiest person in the world. So he's traveling and traveling and traveling, and the sun comes up, and he gets to his destination, and he opens his hands. What do you think? Nothing left. Carol said nothing left. She's done this before. His hands were filled with precious gems. As much as was left of the sand, there's now precious gems. It all turned into gems. And so he was the happiest person in the world because this was more money than he needed to live for the rest of his life. But he was the saddest man in the world because he wished he had saved just a little more sand. It would have been nice. Those of you who know me know that some of my most precious memories and some of my most precious friends are the ones that I had in high school. Not my high school peers, but my youth group peers. But it was still the people I knew from high school. And I learned that story when I was at a conclave, and I did not know how true that was going to be about what I kept from my friendships and those years and those memories, that what we held on to were the most precious things, and the things that fell through our fingers made us very sad, the things we forgot. But today we have an opportunity to look at the gems, see people we haven't seen in a long time, and celebrate together, worship the last Shabbat of the year together. And so, in honor, what did I do? Did I leave my book here? in honor of the fact that you know what's happening today. We have a few special guests. First of all, we are very honored and pleased that we are worshiping together as Bnei Zion and Agudath Achim together. And we are very happy and honored that the Byrd High School class of 1964 has chosen to spend their Shabbat of their reunion weekend here with us celebrating. And you know a lot of them. And I have to tell you, this is that I couldn't understand why there was such a large proportion of this class from Agudath Achim instead of Bnei Zion. I always thought Bnei Zion outnumbered Agudath Achim. What did I know? And then I realized that's because it was the neighborhood school. That's where people lived, in the Byrd neighborhood. So I get it now, and we are very glad that you're here. And the other guest we have is Abby Kleonsky, and we'll hear from her in a little while. And very, very thankful that you're here. For those of you who don't know, we believe we are still streaming the service. So if you love the service, it is working? Working. Last week it worked until the critical moment when the guest speaker finally started to speak, then it stopped, and it's been doing that a lot. So we've already ordered things to try to put into plan a more efficient system. But if you love the service, you missed the service, you can watch it again. We have decided that we would like to try to honor the class of 1964 in various ways during the service. So, welcome to our service, and what we do here, our tradition is that because the weeks, and especially the last week of the year, is a very stressful time during the week, we start our Shabbat by taking a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Let it out slowly. Try to feel the stress of the week leaving. Try to make sure that the lists and the to-dos and the undones stay out of this building. Take another deep breath. And let it out slowly. And feel your shoulders relax, and we are ready for Shabbat. We would like to use Service 2 tonight. We'll begin on page 65. Service 2 to me seems to be a service that reminds us how wonderful it is for all of us to be here together. And we have decided to invite all of the class of 1964 to come up and honor us by being what I sometimes like to call our Shabbos mom and our Shabbos dad. So all of the class of 1964, men and women, please come up. Our tradition, we'll turn to page 65. Our tradition is, please rise if you can stand. If you can't stand, please rise in spirit. And we will turn the microphone on, not because we can't hear you, but because that's how the people can hear on the stream. So squish as many people as you can back there, I guess. Stand up in front. And we read all of page 65 together. I guess the ladies can start off page 65 together. And we read together. As these candles give light to all who behold them, so may we give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. And we say the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. And in English, we praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe. You hallow us with your mitzvot and command us to kindle the lights of Shabbat.
Let there be joy.
Let there be light.
Let there be peace.
Let there be Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. And we're going to turn to page 165, where you will find the Kiddush in Hebrew. And if you need to, you can look at page 166 for the translation. But I think this group can do a 165. Would you lead us in 165?
Yes.
To lift the wine, open it up. Thank you.
Okay.
Go ahead, start chanting.
Right here?
Yeah.
Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, v'ahavu ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron l'maaseh v'reshit, ki hu yom techila l'mikra'e kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim, kivanu v'acharta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, ve'shabbat kodshecha, be'ahava u'v'ratzon, hinchaltanu, baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Amen.
L'chaim. You can drink it. Behalf of the class.
On behalf of the class. There you go.
Now, you need to say Shabbat Shalom to someone you came in with, and Shabbat Shalom you've never seen before or didn't come in with. We need lots of hugs and kisses
Shabbat Shalom.
and hugs. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Did you find somebody you didn't come in with? That's important. Somebody you knew before? Somebody you didn't know you recognized? We continue on page 66, and we use our imaginations. We welcome Shabbat as if our bride. And some of you may have a tradition of standing up and looking back there and seeing if she comes in. And some of you may have the tradition of staying seated because it's too hard to get up and sit down. And we are going to entertain both traditions. Do not, and be happy about the tradition you have, and don't be disparaging about the tradition that someone else has. That's important to me. We're going to start singing Lecha Dodi. Page 66. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Yishmi'anu el ha'miyuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shemo tiferet l'tfila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelecha, Ki mekor ha'bracha. Merosh mikedem nesucha, Sof ma'aseh b'machshava tchila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Hit'oreri, Ki va'orech kumi ori. Uri, shir daberi, Kevod Adonai alayich nigla. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Here she comes. Boi v'shalom ateret ba'ala, Gam b'simcha u'v'tzola. Toch emunei am segula, Boi chala. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, and the impulse within us for justice and mercy, we pray that this hour of worship may be one of vision and inspiration. Help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives.
Bless all who enter this sanctuary in search and in need, all who bring to this place the offering of their hearts. May our worship here lead us to fulfill our words and intentions with acts of kindness, peace, and love.
Amen.
Amen.
We have come together to strengthen our bonds with our people Israel. Like Jews of generations past, we celebrate the grandeur of creation. Like Jews of every age, we echo our people's ancient call for justice.
Our celebration is a sharing of memory and hope.
We are Jews, but each of us is unique. We stand apart and alone, with differing feelings and insights, and yet we are not entirely alone and separate, for we are children of one people and one heritage.
Our celebration unites many separate selves into a single chorus.
And we are one in search of life's meaning. All of us know despair and exaltation. All bear burdens. All have moments of weakness and times of strength. All sing songs of sorrow and love.
May our celebration bring us strength along our way.
In this circle of hope, in the presence of the sacred, may the heart come to know itself and its best, finding a fresh impulse to love the good.
May our celebration lead us to work for the good, and may this Shabbat give strength to us and to our people Israel.
Let's see if this is working. Hine ma tov u'ma na'im, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'ma na'im, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'ma na'im, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'ma na'im, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'ma na'im, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'ma na'im, shevet achim gam yachad. It is good and it is pleasant when we're here together. Many are the generations of Israel, and in every age we have sought the living God through Sabbath rest and worship. This time and place hold the power to increase our joy in the eternal. O God, even as we seek you in the sanctuary, help us to know that your glory fills all space. Make us understand that you are with us at all times if we but open our minds to you.
We feel the presence of your Spirit in our homes and on our ways. We see the beauty of your creation in mountain, sea, and sky, and in the human form. We hear you in the silence of our own hearts, speaking the truth the heart knows.
May we be your witness to the world, your messenger to all the earth.
May we show forth your image within us, the divine spark that makes us human.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה.
אמן.
בעלמא דברה חירותיה וימליך מלכותיה בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי בכל בית ישראל בעגלה בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה יתברך. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם וינשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמך דקודשה בריחו לעילא מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן. ברכו את אדוני המבורך, ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. As day departs, as the dark of night descends, we lift our eyes to the heavens. In awe and wonder, our hearts cry out.
Eternal God, how majestic is your name in all the earth.
So the real reason why I picked this service is because today is Talk Like a Pirate Day, and this says, a vast universe. Sorry. Who can know it? What mind can fathom it? We look out to the endless suns and ask, what are we? What are our dreams and our hopes? What are we that you are mindful of us? What are we that you should care for us?
And yet within us abides a measure of your spirit. You are remote, but oh how near, ordering the stars in the vast solitudes of the dark, yet whispering in our minds that you are closer than the air we breathe. For you have made us little less than divine, and crowned us with glory and honor. With love and awe we turn to you, and in the dark of evening we seek the light of your presence.
One and only God, you have made each of us unique and formed us to be united in one family of life. Be with us, Eternal One, as we seek to unite our lives with your power and your love.
We proclaim now your oneness for our own hope for unity. We acclaim your creative power in the universe and in ourselves, the law that binds world to world and heart to heart.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. You may be seated. I see Garrett out there. Who else do I see in the Bet class coming up? Oh, I see Grant. Hi, Grant. Come on up. I see Mackenzie. Come on. Come quickly. Do you want to come up? Yeah, Melena comes up too. These are the students who are coming up in the next year or months or so for Bar Bat Mitzvah. And this is a prayer that they can lead us in on page 72. Ready? Somebody? בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם. He's next, and then her, and then him, and then in the not too distant future here. Yes. We're going to read this in English too for those of us who like English. We say, you shall love your eternal God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your being.
Set these words, which I command you this day, upon your heart. Teach them faithfully to your children. Speak of them in your home and on your way, when you lie down and when you rise up. Bind them as a sign upon your hand. Let them be symbols before your eyes. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates.
Be mindful of all my mitzvot and do them. So shall you consecrate yourselves to your God.
I am your eternal God,
who led you out of Egypt to be your God. I am your eternal God. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness, a world waiting still to be redeemed, give us, O source of good, the courage to say, there is one God in heaven and earth.
The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and your love.
From Egypt, the house of bondage, we were delivered. At Sinai, amid peals of thunder, we bound ourselves to your purpose. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, we survived oppression and exile, time and again overcoming the forces that would have destroyed us.
Our failings are many, our faults are great, yet it has been our glory to bear witness to our God and to keep alive in dark ages the vision of a world redeemed.
May this vision never fade. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we sing with one accord, as Moses, Miriam, and Israel sang at the shores of the sea.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osef ele, nora tehilot osef ele, malechutecha ra'u vanecha bokeh hayam lifnei Moshe zeli anu ve'ameru Adonai imloch Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed.
V'ne'emar, and it has been said, the Eternal One delivered Jacob and redeemed us from the hand of one stronger than ourselves. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. We praise you, O God, Redeemer of Israel. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Eternal God, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up to find our hearts waiting to do your will.
All the world.
O God of Israel, may our worship on this day help us to grow in loyalty to our covenant with you and to the way of life it demands, the way of gentleness and justice, the path of truth and of peace.
Vishameru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
please rise for the tefillah, which begins on page 76. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, v'Elohei Rachel, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor, Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'koneh Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot V'imahot, U'mevii Geula Levnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol Atah Rav L'Hoshia, Mechalkel Chaim B'Chesed, Mechayeh HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Ve'rofeh Cholim, U'matir Hasurim, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיה הכל. I don't want us to miss the reading at the bottom of 76 in English. Please join me. Source of all being, we turn to you as did our people in ancient days. They beheld you in the heavens. They felt you in their hearts. They sought you in their lives. Now their quest is ours. Help us, O God, to celebrate the wonder of being. Give us the courage to search for truth. Teach us the path to a better life. So shall we, by our lives and our labors, bring near to realization the great hope inherited from ages past for a world transformed by liberty and justice and peace. We continue at the top of page 78. You are Kadosh, holy, and your name is Kadosh, holy. And those who strive to be Kadoshim, holy, declare your glory day by day. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. We praise you, Eternal One, the Holy God. You may be seated. We continue together at the top of page 79. God of Israel, may our worship on this Sabbath bring us near to all that is high and holy. May it bind the generations in bonds of love and sharing, and unite us with our people in common hope and faith. And through Sabbath rest and worship, may we learn to find fulfillment and joy in the vision of peace for all the world. You are with us in our prayer, in our love and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble and pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Eternal source of good, we give thanks for the numberless gifts and blessings that fill our days, for life itself and its endless variety, for all that sustains body and mind, for love and friendship, for the delights of the senses, and for the excellence of your Torah, which deepens our life and enriches our days. Teach us, God of wonders, to work for a just and compassionate society, where all may share your gifts in the joy of freedom.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
Until this point, the words that we've said have been words that people have put into our mouths for us, and I have enjoyed some of these words, but my favorite part of the service is where we get to now speak the words that are in our hearts. Many of us are thankful. Some of us are sad. We take all of those prayers, we put them together, open the gates of prayer. We take a moment to pray silently. Except for her. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. ואמרו אמן. That song is one that most of us remember singing forever and ever and ever, right? One of the old standards, except I don't think that it was written in 1964. I think it's younger than that. Just saying. Classics. Our heart and our mind and our prayers turn to those who are ill and recuperating as we turn to the inside back cover of our prayer book. David, do you have a list that you want to share? Misha Berach list? You want to come up? We're going to need it. You can come up here and come to the microphone. I'll say our list first while you're coming up. Our congregational family today is especially thinking of Carl Bagey, Carrie Bollinger, Jill Fixler, Tracy Gold, Val Gold, Tina Holloway, Susan Israel, Sister Mary Joan, Richard Kelly, Jim Miller, Jada Wynn, Steve Parker, Cindy Rabinowitz, Justin Rudkowski, Andy Shaw, Joanne Smith, Phyllis DePongzi, and Stephen Zelanka. You have more names to add.
Achanoam bat Miriam, David ben Hadassah, Elka Yehudit bat Fruma Liba, Chana Ruth bat Sarah, Chana Merel bat Sarah, Chaya Ruchel bat Hinda, Andrea Denton, Renee Bergeron, Ernst and Doris Brown, John and Betty Wilson, Devorah Leah bat Leah, Louise McClendon, Randy Trangmar, Simcha Ilka bat Sabah, Mary Ann Green, Eula Pierce, Brian Schiffman, Manuela Rettig.
Thank you. For all these names, for the names we choose to hold in our hearts and not say out loud, we pray together. O God, in our hearts we name those who are facing illness and pain. We join our prayers with the prayers of all who love them. Give them renewed comfort and courage. Strengthen in them the healing powers you have placed within us all. Guide the hands and hearts of those who are entrusted with their care. May the knowledge of your love and ours give added hope to them and to their dear ones. May they find even greater strength because our prayers are linked to theirs. Baruch atah Adonai, Rofeh Halim. We praise you, eternal God, the source of healing and health. And it has become our tradition at our congregation to add, Mishaberach avotenu v'imotenu. May the one who blessed and protected our ancestors guard all those whom we have entrusted with the responsibility of defending our freedom and protecting us in this country, in the land of Israel, and everywhere they have been called to serve. May they return home safely, and let us say,
Amen.
We'll call you back up later. What did you do in those days in 1964 to decide who goes first? Rock, paper, scissors, once, twice, three, shoot? We used to do once, twice, three, shoot. That's what I did in the 60s. How about if we go alphabetically by Agudath Achim? Charlotte, would you like to come and speak to us? We are honored and privileged that there will be a representative from each congregation, 2 representatives from the class, and opportunities to talk to others later. Shabbat Shalom, thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you. As a 1964 graduate of Byrd High School, I'm honored to be returning to celebrate Shabbat with you. This is my homecoming. My overriding memory of Agudath Achim is of a melting pot of families from around the world as well as the United States. In our days, we referred to our home congregation as the Shul. Rabbi Leo Brenner of blessed memory put up with our 1950s and early 60s version of misbehaving. I believe he served Agudath Achim for over 40 years, and he was the singular rabbinic figure we had at the synagogue. Agudath Achim Synagogue was also a community center for us. The full court gym was also used as a social hall, and seem to be in frequent use for cultural, educational, and sporting experiences. Junior and senior Young Judea were the social focus for many, beginning at about age 10. Though our class had only a few B'nai Zion students active in Young Judea with us in our group, the classes, I remember 2 and 3 years ahead of us, had a considerable mix of both congregations. Our class had the 3rd through 8th bat mitzvahs at the shul, which had not formerly been allowed for females to attend midweek Hebrew school, as it was called, nor to become bat mitzvah. In 1959, we were only allowed to participate in the Friday night service, as females were not allowed on the bima to read Torah. Now, for many years, B'nai Zion and Agudath Achim have had a combined Sunday school, and we thank you for that. That spirit of cooperation among congregations and individuals reminds each of us how fortunate we are to have spent our childhood years in a Jewish community that has perpetually cared about inclusiveness. Again, thank you for continuing that tradition. Shabbat Shalom.
And now turned off my microphone. Representing B'nai Zion, Mr. Bill Bronig, who I hear in 1964. I don't believe anything they tell me about what he was like in 1964. That's all I'm saying. I just don't believe it, Bill. Something about long hair and a beard, and I don't believe anything they say. That's what I said. That's what I heard. No, that's not what I heard.
I've got some seafront property in Arizona that I want to. Well, in Arizona now, it's water everywhere. Anyway, I want to welcome, first of all, the class of 1964 from Agudath Achim and from B'nai Zion who are here tonight to join us in prayer at B'nai Zion. I would also like to welcome all of our friends from Agudath Achim who have come tonight to pray with us also. The class of 1964 graduated on the cusp of one of the greatest social revolutions in American history. We were seniors at Byrd High School in 1963-64 when John Kennedy was assassinated in Dallas. And I can remember being here on the following Sunday morning, waiting for a youth group meeting to start and watching TV and seeing Lee Harvey Oswald shot by Jack Ruby as he came out of the Dallas jail. We are the generation of Vietnam, Woodstock, the Civil Rights Movement, the British invasion, and the sexual revolution, although I didn't revolt too much. Yet we have gone on to become doctors, lawyers, engineers, business people, and raised families that have gone on to make us proud of them and their accomplishments in our world today. We are grandparents and will spend some of the time this evening, I'm sure, showing each other photos of our grandchildren on our iPhones and our iPads. But when we were at Byrd High School, computers were something that only the largest corporations in America owned. And today, we carry in our shirt pockets what would have taken up an entire floor of an office building to have the computing knowledge that this little cell phone does. In addition to the social revolution that epitomized our generation, there has been a sea change in modern Judaism that had blurred the lines that existed between conservative and reform Judaism. Can you imagine now at both seminaries, they're actually ordaining women rabbis? Oh my gosh. As Shreveport and in Shreveport, Agudath Achim and B'nai Zion have had a joint religious school for more than 10 years. And throughout the year, we have joint services together. I remember that when I went to high school, there were kids from Agudath Achim who I didn't even know and met for the first time when we were in high school together. Now we join together to celebrate our 50th high school reunion and to glory in the fact that we were able to survive those tumultuous years that we went through. I'm sure that we will get together and visit and talk about old times, but I want to wish each of you a Shabbat Shalom.
We also have, that's wonderful, and I feel better having been part of this class now. We also have today a special guest. I don't know that you've met too many people before. Abby Kleonsky. Every year we use the ISJL curriculum, and we have a fellow who comes and helps us, and Abby is our fellow. I don't know why they call it fellow, because they're mostly girls. It drives me and my linguistic mind crazy. But Abby is our fellow, and she has a special interest in coming on a reunion night that she'll explain to you.
Thank you. Shabbat Shalom. As Rabbi Jana said, my name is Abby Kleonsky. I'm an education fellow, what have you, at the Goldring-Woldenberg Institute of Southern Jewish Life, which is based in Jackson, Mississippi, although it works with Jewish communities from northeastern Virginia all the way to southwestern Texas. So if you're interested in hearing more about that, find me after services. I'd be happy to talk about it. Also, as Rabbi Jana said, I'm honored that I get to be a part of this reunion Shabbat, and I was very excited to find out that my visit would coincide with the return of so many people to the community in which they grew up. I love learning about the evolution of Jewish communities, and I'm fascinated by the stories told by those who were participants in or witnesses to the changes that have occurred over the course of their lives. This past June, I witnessed a meeting between two people who had not seen each other in 75 years. Both of them Jewish men in their late 90s. They had graduated 2 years apart from each other from Princeton University in the 1930s, at a time when the school maintained a strict under-the-table quota of 3 to 4% on Jewish students. I met both last year in the process of conducting oral history interviews for my senior thesis, which I wrote about the development of Jewish student life at Princeton, beginning in 1915. When I mentioned each to the other, both expressed interest in the other's well-being. The elder recalled a meaningful exchange from decades earlier with the younger's father, in which he expressed gratitude that his son was starting to be involved in Jewish life on campus. The younger, at 97, asked for the elder's email address. He doesn't have one. In June, when both were on campus for their 75th and 77th reunions from college, I was able to coordinate for them to meet each other. They began to reminisce about shared memories from 3/4 of a century earlier, memories that few others, obviously, could possibly understand. In Book 8 of his Nicomachean Ethics, Aristotle wrote, "For the ones who live together find enjoyment in each other and provide the requisite good things. The ones who are asleep or are in separate places, on the other hand, though not actively doing them, have the state that would result in their doing the things fitted to friendship, since being in separate places does not break off friendship unconditionally, but rather its activity." It seems to me that Aristotle is a big proponent of this weekend's activities, transforming friendships long dormant into active friendships. Many of you may return to Shreveport a few times a year for family events, whereas others return only when there's cause for a big celebration, like your 50th reunion. Regardless of how frequently or not you've come back to Shreveport, there are bound to be people you'll see this weekend who you haven't seen in years, or even decades. This reunion couldn't come at a better time in the Jewish calendar. Just as we reflect on the past year and make goals for the coming one at Rosh Hashanah, reunions present the opportunity to reflect on the past by bringing us up to speed on the present. Ben Sira was an allegorist from Jerusalem who lived about 200 years after Aristotle. His own thoughts on the subject of friendship have been passed down as part of a collection of his proverbs in the book Sirach. "Do not forsake an old friend," he wrote, "for a new one will not be faithful." I don't know about that part. "A new friend is like new wine," he continued, "but it is when it is old that you will drink it." Perhaps Ben Sira was alluding to the years, or maybe even decades, necessary to really get to know someone. In those long friendships that he favors, you've had time to immerse yourself in the wealth of stories that comprise each of your friends' personal canons, so you can appreciate the full spectrum of life experiences that have contributed to creating the person across the table or on the other end of the phone line. And it is this, the chance to reconnect with people who really knew us in our transformative years, that make reunions valuable. As a recent college graduate, my friendships are only beginning to face the challenge of time. I'm challenging myself to have the dedication necessary to make sure that those friendships last longer than the 4 years that just ended. And I'd like to charge you to use this reunion and the beginning of this new year as an opportunity to take on that same challenge. As Ben Sira said, there's no price that can be paid for a faithful friend and nothing that can equal his value. So go out there and make some new friends and keep the old ones. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Yashar kochech. All right, so we did A and then B, so how about David, do you want to come up again? We hear from our presidents what's going on in our community. Announcements. Let me get this out of the way. Announcements.
Okay. Services tomorrow morning at 9:45 as usual. We are having a men's club sponsored dinner and high holiday art and music program Saturday, September 27th, Shabbat at 6:30 p.m. Reservation deadline has been extended to the 1st of next week, so for any of you who would like to come, Cantor Neil Schwartz, who is coming down to lead us for the high holidays, will be presenting the program, and it will be a treat. I've heard his voice, and read some of his writings, and he is going to put on a really wonderful program. And so if you haven't made reservations yet, please contact the office or contact Dr. David Gross. And Cantor Neil Schwartz welcomes all to attend a choir rehearsal at the synagogue this coming Monday evening at 7:30. We're going to be putting together a choir for our high holiday services. And if you're interested in participating, please join us Monday evening. Monday, October 22nd is the deadline for submitting information to the office for our bulletin for October. And we will again be putting on and doing our project Isaiah for the high holidays. For those of you who have come and joined us in past years, you know what it is a food drive, bring canned goods to leave in boxes that will be in our foyer. And after the holidays, we will call the Food Bank of North Louisiana, and if it's over 1,000 pounds, they'll come pick it up. If it's less, we'll go deliver them. But everything you bring and contribute to the boxes will go to help feed the hungry in our community. So you can drop them off either on Rosh Hashanah, first or second day, or Yom Kippur. The boxes will be there through the holidays. And our Slichot services will be tomorrow night at the synagogue at 10:30 p.m. And want to extend a special personal invitation to any members of B'nai Zion who would like to join us on second day of Rosh Hashanah, when I understand you do not have services, and to listen to the program and the sermons and the melodies that Cantor Schwartz will be sharing with us. I think we will all be in for a treat. And Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you. Yashkoch. Cantor Schwartz is world famous for his trope abilities. And now our president, Dr. Donald Posner. You can sit down again. We'll call you back again later. Okay. We're making everybody, we call it the Jack in the Box service, where you have to come up and go down. But what I would like to do first is anyone who is under the age of 13, please follow Miss Abby out to the foyer area, because we have a special program for those kids right now. I should have said it before this. I had a cue. It was supposed to be Elenu. I think they can go now. Anyone under age 13, Miss Abby is doing a special program. Thank you. Okay. Here's yours.
Shabbat Shalom, y'all. Thank y'all very much for coming. It's nice to see a full house here. We want to welcome everybody that came tonight. And it's a wonderful thing to come back for a reunion like this. I'm sure things have changed a lot, and we want to thank y'all. We have a female rabbi. That's different. We have this new sanctuary that we completed just in time to host you. So we want to thank y'all for worshiping with us tonight, both congregations. So this has been a wonderful thing. Tomorrow night, as we mentioned in the Shliach Halot, we're going to begin the services at 7:30 with refreshments and Havdalah. Then we will change the sanctuary to white for the upcoming holy days and have a brief service to help prepare us for the days of awe. Abby, thank you for coming. She will help with Torah study and services tomorrow. She'll be working with our teachers and students throughout the weekend. As you know, Rosh Hashanah begins this Wednesday evening. The evening service will begin at 7:30 p.m. and we will be in the Lefkowitz Hall. And then, however, on Rosh Hashanah morning, we plan to worship in our new sanctuary. So the morning service begins here at 10 a.m. All Yom Kippur services will be in the Lefkowitz Hall. We have special children's service scheduled for 12:15 on Thursday morning. If you need babysitters, please let us know by Monday. And please contact the office if your children need absence notes for school during the High Holy Days. We have the Rosh Hashanah Tashlich ceremony at the Glen at 4:30 on Thursday. We gather together and cast our sins in the water. The Glen has a lovely covered area at their front entrance so we can meet rain or shine. And once again, we give non-perishable food to the food bank, and we accept donations through the end of Sukkot. Start the new year with the mitzvah of saving lives. Once again, we have the donor wall, and we need the plaque inscription requests. Please decide how you want to list your inscription to either honor the loved ones or your children or grandchildren or whoever. You should choose how you're going to word it, and if you need some help, ask the rabbi or call the office. Tonight, donations were made to B'nai Zion for the pulpit flowers in loving memory of Abram Can by Nell and Avery, Harriet Goldberg, by Jackie and Mel Gold and Sons, Frida K. Hyman by Dorothy and Bernard Lobel, Bernard Kallenberg by Sandy and Jeff Kallenberg and family, in memory of Bobby Kemper by Ellen Ray Joyner. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. So now in our service, we will be turning to page 148, and I would once again invite the class of 1964 to come up and help us open the Ark for the Aleinu. Page 148, come on, boing up, everybody. Bringing up 148, all of the class of 1964. Did I say that? 1964? That's good. 1964? Nah, not really. Come on, nobody here has changed. I've seen all the pictures. Not changed at all. Not even a little bit. Except Bill. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. Come on up. Open the Ark. Somebody grab the doors, grab the handles, and open the Ark. Page 148. Go ahead, grab some doors. Go ahead, grab them. Yeah, go ahead. Take. Ready?
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Let's do it.
שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת עוזו בגופי מרומי. הוא אלוהינו תורתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום, והשבותה אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים, בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. And in the middle of page 149, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. And when the ark is closed, you may be seated. You look just like the other Ellen I know. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom.
I'll tell you about, there was no other high school on this side of town.
Oh, well, that explains things then.
So that's and there were 22 here and 20 in the shul.
That's a big class. That is a big class. 22 kids, 22 students from here and 20 from the shul, the other shul. Come on down here. Oh, I'm sorry, smushed you. I'm trying to make sure everybody could get to the hand. Page 148. At this point in our service, as you know, we remember those who we've lost. I am grateful to report that during this week we lost we know there was a fatal incident yesterday, but we do not have the details about that. The list that we get of the American military who lost their lives that we announced during Shabbat services go through Wednesday. So we don't have any of the details yet to announce those names for this week, and I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I know, me too. I'm sorry about that. But we continue on page 151. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, let us meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. We continue on page 153. In nature's ebb and flow, your eternal law abides. As you are our support in the struggles of life, so also are you our hope in death. In your care, O God, are the souls of all the living and the spirits of all flesh. Your power gives us strength. Your love comforts us. O life of our life, soul of our soul, cause your light to shine into our hearts. Fill us with trust in you and turn us again to the tasks of life. And may the memory of our loved ones inspire us to continue their work for the coming of your sovereign rule. However brief may be our time on earth, O God, you endow our fleeting days with abiding worth. We now recall the loved ones whom death has taken from us. Does anyone have anyone who they lost within the past month? Does anyone have a parent who they lost within the past year? And you're going to need to come up to get your list. Let me tell you before we read our lists, as David is coming up, that B'nai Zion and Agudath Achim have a different tradition about reading names, that Agudath Achim reads the names of the people whose yortzites are coming up this coming week, and B'nai Zion reads the names of the list of yortzites for those who have just passed. The yortzites passed this week. So you're welcome to go. I guess I should go first because these are the people whose yortzites were this past week. Included in our family of yortzites are Janet Lorraine Abrams, Abraham Atkins, Richard L. Bailey, Lily Bernhard, Mary Harris Block, Abri S. Kahn Sr., Henrietta Clark, Elizabeth Fox, Abe B. Fryer, Harriet Goldberg, Adele B. Goldstein, Brana Harris, Mrs. Frida K. Hyman, Bernard Kallenberg, Mose Kaufman, Sam S. Kleban, Carol Perlman, Milton Robinson, and Goldie Siegel Toys.
We remember the following: Goldie Toys, Jacob Jerome Abrams, Rosie Strauss, Melanea Mayers Rosenblum, David Goldberg.
Does anyone else have someone that you are remembering here in a yard site, in whatever your tradition is, the before week or the after week? In this moment of memory, our griefs and sympathies are mingled. Loving God, we rise as together we praise your name. The Mourner's Kaddish is found on page 154. The translation is found on page 155. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehe shemei Rabbah mevarach la'alam u'lalmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei d'kudsha b'richu. La'elam min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehe shalama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. Amen. You may be seated. Thank you. And I know it's after 7 o'clock, so somebody here is going to shoot me, I know that. But I didn't do this. This isn't my fault. Yeah, blame Agudath Achim. No, just kidding. That was a joke. It was a joke. It was a joke. I'm sorry. I was kidding. But one of the things that I learned about my reunions is that the thing that stays with you, that echoes in your mind, are the songs that we sing. So we are going to turn to page 159 because I know everybody knows this one. And I want you to hear how all the voices join together as we sing together again. Ein keloheinu, ein kadonenu, ein kemalkeinu, ein kemoshienu, micheloheinu, michadonenu, michemalkeinu. Let's give thanks. No del Eloheinu, no del Adonenu, no del Malkeinu, no del Moshienu. Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu. Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu. And we leave everybody at Agudath Achim hanging with that last verse. I think B'nai Zion, I think the Reform movement chopped off the last verse because they like being finished earlier. I don't know. I'm just saying. I need to call the class of 1964 up one more time. I need you to help us say the motzi so that we can enjoy some of the wonderful Oneg Shabbat refreshments we've got. Come on up. Class of 64. Normally in our service, it's everyone under 13, by the way. So that's why we had to kick them out of the room because they would have gotten very, very jealous. Hold on to the bottom of this. Hold on to the bottom. Everybody hold the bottom of the tray. Come on around. Come on. Yeah. See, I told you she's very upset about this. All right. Lead us in the motzi. Lead us in the motzi. Go ahead. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon. Now y'all grab some of that challah. Everybody grab. And everybody else, meanwhile, stands up for the closing benediction while they start their snackage early. There's more challah for everybody, by the way, up at in the foyer. But first, we said it before, Hinei ma tov u'manaim shevet achim gam yachad. It is wonderful for us to be together. And we also said a vast. I was glad we covered all of that. But what a blessing for us to worship together. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmarecha. May God bless you. May God protect you. Yair Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May the light of God's face shine upon you, be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God's face always be lifted up to you. May God grant you peace and many, many more years of enjoying each other like we do tonight. Shabbat Shalom. Please join us for the next Shabbat.